When I was trying to figure out how to become the woman of my dreams and get to the life that I wanted, I knew that there were some things that I needed to change about how I was approaching getting to that space beyond just wanting it. But I wasn't quite sure where to start. It hit me to start acting in ways that what I called privileged people were doing. After studying how they moved and what it looked like, I decided to just assume that mindset. And when I did, I immediately started to see my life moving in the direction that I had been wanting for it to go. So if you know that you are needing to make that next step, in this video, I am sharing a few things that I did that you can action today that will start moving you toward the life of your dreams. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Christy, and I make content centered around realizing no matter where we are in life, no matter our age, we are just on time to live the life of our dreams. And we talk a lot about what that means here on this channel because I remember being in a space where I just felt so stuck and I felt like life was just passing me by. And the thing is, I knew on the kind of big level what it was that I wanted for my life. I wanted to be able to travel. I wanted my finances to be straight. I wanted to have freedom and flexibility over my days. I wanted to not feel like I was just kind of floating through life. I wanted to be happy. And at the time, I felt stuck and I didn't know how to make it happen until I did. And your girl changed her life. I am now living my dream life. I'm doing things that I didn't think were possible. I'm doing things that I wanted to be able to do, but that I felt were so out of reach. And it's because I decided to start living like privileged people and developing a privileged mindset. Lately, I've been in this series where I'm sharing exactly what that means. And this is the third video in that Living Like Privileged People series. So if this is your first video and you like what you see, go back, watch the others. I will link them down below and the playlist will be at the end. Now, if you've been watching and you're like, I'm on board, but what next? Today, I'm sharing some things that I was able to immediately implement that started showing me what was possible and how to get there by reframing my mind and building on really tiny, bite-sized, small steps of faith. In the first two privilege mindset videos, I said that there are things that people with privilege do and things that they don't do. So I'm going to categorize these actionable steps into those broad things so that you know what part of a privilege mindset we're working on when we do these things. Let's go. I deserve to be in this space. People with privilege are not afraid of doing the highfalutin things and being in elite spaces because they believe that they deserve to be there. If you are in a space where you're constantly second guessing whether or not better is for you, you have to do things that trigger those emotions inside of you and trigger that belief that you deserve to be in those spaces. One of the easiest things that you can do right this second, fix your posture. Posture isn't just good for your frame and for your body structure and making you look taller and slimmer, but it is also a sign of confidence and self-esteem. If you look around and you notice people who you don't perceive as being confident or people who look to be uncomfortable in a space, what you'll notice is that they are slumped over, they're avoiding eye contact because slouching is a position of defeat. On the other hand, people who look like they have power and authority are always standing or sitting up straight. Research has shown a link between posture and anxiety and an association between how we think about ourselves based on whether or not we are slouchy or have good posture. I have seen it happen for me every single time that when I become aware of changing my posture, standing up straight, holding my head up, that I immediately feel like that girl. Look at yourself in the mirror and compliment 5 things that you see. You are going to want to do this often. When we are not where we want to be, we have a tendency to talk so negatively about ourselves. We look at our physical flaws, we look at where we are financially. If that's not where we want it to be, we look at where we are relationally and spiritually and emotionally and with our goals. And all we see is that we don't measure up. But what we don't realize in the moment is that that negative self-talk actually becomes our reality. We have to work against that to create a new reality for ourselves because we will always work up or down to the version of ourselves that deep down inside we believe we truly are. Thinking negatively about ourselves translates into believing that we don't deserve a higher quality life. And it keeps us stuck in a cycle of accepting less because we don't believe that we're worth the more. When I find myself talking negatively about myself, I will immediately switch it up to the point where I even apologize to myself because I know that that negative self-talk will eventually make me self-sabotage and stop me from getting to the space that I know God has for me if I just stay the course. Go inside of a place that you have been nervous to go into. Sometimes when we see things that are either beyond what our current financial situation is, or that we feel like it's just too fancy for us or too quote unquote good for us, then we won't go inside of the places that have those things, whether it be a store or a museum or a neighborhood or a restaurant or whatever, because we don't feel like we belong in that space. Once you start stepping into those spaces and being comfortable being in those spaces, you will start to see yourself in a completely different way. I remember when I was really low financially, I had this friend, still have this friend, but she would like to go into Tiffany's just because. And so we went to the mall to do that. And at first I was so uncomfortable because I had like $0 to my name and barely scraping by. And I just felt like, oh, I can't afford anything out of there. So why should I even go in there? But I did it. And after a few times, and maybe even just the first time, I started thinking not just that I wanted pretty things, but I realized that I was the one cutting myself off from even just the simple pleasure of going inside of a store and being surrounded by all of these gorgeous things. I was thinking that I didn't belong in there, but everybody was so nice. The workers were nice. They greeted me pleasantly. And over time, it was like, well, why can't I be here? And that triggered other thoughts of, what other spaces can I go into? What do I really want for my life? That small act actually planted a seed. You have to confront the discomfort of feeling like you don't belong and actively go against that in order to start getting comfortable with it. Another privileged mindset that we are building up is that I don't make excuses. And I would probably subtitle this with, I can do it, or I am capable. The thing that separates people who make it from those who don't is that they believe that they can do it and they put action behind it. If you don't naturally have this mindset, or if because of circumstances in life just kind of beating you up, you've lost it, kind of where I was, you're gonna have to act in ways that trigger that belief, because not making excuses goes hand in hand with believing that you can do it and putting that action behind it. Some things that you can do are make a vision board. Now, maybe you made a vision board before, or maybe you've never made a vision board before. You have heard about it and it was something that maybe you wanted to do, or maybe you were like, I'm not gonna do it. But vision boarding is actually a really powerful tool because it forces us to dream big. We can be so afraid of being disappointed that we keep our dreams small. But when you keep your dreams small, you're only ever gonna achieve small things, things that require no steps of faith. You have to see yourself in that space before it happens. And that is what vision boarding does. It shows us what is the thing that we want for our lives. It puts something in front of us so that we can have a visual representation of what that thing is. And when we put it in a prominent place where we can see it on a regular basis, it is something that reminds us of our dreams and our goals. And it fills up our subconscious with where we are working to get to and not just where we currently are. You can make a vision board as elaborate or as low scale as you want it to be. You can do it digitally, or you can just cut up pictures that you find in magazines. And you don't have to wait to the beginning or the end of the year to be able to do it. You can do it absolutely anytime. You can do it today by spending just a few minutes collecting some pictures that represent where it is that you would like for your life to go. And again, put it in a prominent place that you can see on a regular basis. However you do it, the point is do it. Write or find 5 affirmations that you say over yourself. This is kind of related to the complimenting ourselves one, but a little bit different. We just tend to talk negatively about ourselves and hold on to negative things about ourselves. And the things that get repeated are the things that we believe. When we constantly say, oh, I can't do this, I don't have time for this is too much, and all of these other negative things that we put out, that becomes our truth and our lives start to line up with that. But by replacing it with positive things that we are saying about ourselves, about our lives, about our abilities, then our lives start to line up with that. I feel like so many times when people talk about affirmations, it ends up being like this big kind of woo-woo thing where I'm saying the exact same thing every single day. I don't really approach it like that. I like to have affirmations that speak to where I am and that actually just reframe the negative things that I might naturally want to think. So if I am in a very busy season, instead of saying, oh, I'm too busy or I don't have time for this, what I will say is, this is possible. I have everything I need to get this done. Or if I'm not understanding something, I'll say something like, I can figure out the answer to this problem. As a Christian, I pretty much always include scriptures as well to be able to speak God's word and his thoughts over my life. And some of my favorites are, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. God has plans for me to prosper me, not to harm me, to give me a hope and a future. And I actually like to fill up my vision board with some of these as well. Reframing my mind toward these affirmations has been so beneficial for me, especially when I am gravitating toward a negative moment, because I can pull it back and not stay in that space. Go in a different direction to a place that you normally go. I know this sounds a bit funky, but we are working to build new neural pathways and training our brains to be able to do things in a new and different way. When we do things differently, it helps us to see things differently. It helps us to have different outcomes. There's research to show that when we go about our normal routine, but we switch things up just a little bit, it helps us to get out of a rut. It helps us to be more creative because we're having to actually put focus into the steps of completing that task. The other mindset that we're going to work on is, I operate in abundance. People who have privileged mindsets do not feel the need to hold on to things beyond what is useful, and they enjoy what they have because they believe more is coming. If you have ever had less or have felt like less, whether because of finances or maybe not being able to easily make friends, not being the one that people noticed, once you get something in that space, letting go can be really hard. It's the same if you have suffered a big loss. We end up just holding on to a lot of stuff that can and should be used or let go, but for whatever reason, we're afraid to. We have got to do some things to start moving our mindsets in a place of abundance. So use your fancy save it for later stuff today. I say it all the time, but when I was going through my decluttering, I realized that I had so much stuff that I wasn't using that I was saving for later, but later never came. And it was because I was scared of parting with things. I was scared of things getting lean, and I was scared of not having enough that I wasn't enjoying my life, and I kept putting off using the things that I'd already bought. But when I made the decision that today is a special day, I am going to use the things that I have, I am not going to keep saving it for later, it was an immediate confidence boost. And while it may seem counterintuitive, as I continued to do that, I stopped being scared of not having enough. I realized how many things had been going to waste, how many things had been collecting dust, and how much stuff I was just wasting money on because I was having a scarcity mindset around it. Also, throw away something that isn't serving you. And throw away in the sense of get rid of it. Get it out of your home, get it out of your life, get it out of your mind. Stuff, people, mindsets, habits, get rid of it. It can be really difficult at first, but you will find yourself lighter and so much more free when you do it. I did a video where I talked about how to let stuff go that I will link down below for you, but do yourself a solid and start removing things from your life that you have been holding on to out of fear. Fear and holding on is not compatible with getting to more. We cannot get to more when we're holding on to things out of fear. So let it go. Alrighty, I think I'm going to end it here. I have so many more actionable ways to be able to start building and adopting and assuming a privileged mindset, but this video is getting a bit long. I do think it's a good start and something for you guys to be able to chew on and immediately start doing right now. If you enjoyed this video and want a part 2, please give it a big thumbs up and let me know in the comments below. Also, if you're not subscribed, babe, what are you doing? I'm gonna need you to jump on that. Alrighty, my friends, I love you and I will see you in my next. Bye for now.